Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our July update video of our garden. It's been a hot morning, but I'm kind of excited to show you what we got growing. It's a lot of good stuff growing. The last time we did an update was back in May, but now it's been about 2 months since we did a posting, and my goodness, it has grown massively.
As we enter the garden, on the right-hand side, we've got this raised bed that we featured in our May garden tour video. So here's a bit of an update on how things are growing here. Our lavender is doing amazing. Pollinators love it. We love it. We use it in our teas almost every day. And next to it, we've got a tomato plant. We succession sowed it after radish season was over. As you can see, chamomile season is over too. So no more chamomile, but hopefully we'll get some zinnias in place of chamomile in the same spot. We've got our carrots growing in two little sections. They're almost ready to harvest. And then here's another tomato plant to replace the radishes that came out in May. Some more carrots and a volunteer dill that's popped up all on its own without being seeded. And that's okay. It is a weed, so that's what it does. And then over here, we have our two strawberry plants. One gives these beautiful pink flowers, the other one white flowers. They taste a little bit different as well, which is really cool. We've got some celery and calendula here. This calendula is just about to blossom and looks amazing. And here's our pineapple sage and Brussels sprouts. This plant seems to be doing well, so I'm really hoping to get some Brussels sprouts this year. So we've got a total of 15 different crops growing in this raised bed alone. 16 if you count the volunteer dill. Now, we don't only grow in raised beds and grow bags, we also grow some of the crops in ground. There's actually 8 different areas around the garden where we grow crops directly in the ground. This is one of them. Here we're growing a mix of basil and mint, and right next to it, we're growing some more fava beans and a whole bunch of volunteer dill. Now, dill is a really cool plant because it houses caterpillars for swallowtail butterflies. That's why I have so many of them all over the garden. In this next section, we've got two different varieties of beets, golden and purple, and a massive volunteer sunflower that self-seeded itself from last year, as well as some more volunteer dill, and then some some really sad looking cabbages that completely got demolished by cabbage butterflies. So I don't think we'll be getting any harvest off of these. I just wanted to show you what may happen in the garden, and I'm always prepared for losing some of my crops to different wildlife. This cabbage didn't really form, and then there's a really lonely beet over here that is struggling to grow amongst all of these different tall plants.
And our next section coming up is our marigold plant. We popped that in and we moved on to our cabbage plants. And we also have a little bit of a Brussels sprout. So yet another Brussels sprout popping up, and dill. Way too much dill. Far too much dill. And in this next section, we're going to have my little experiment. We got some marigolds, got some cinnamon basil. I'm actually curious about the flavor for that one. And also over here is a green pepper. And I did plant a cucumber, but unfortunately it was a bit shy, so it didn't bother popping on the ground. And in this next section, it's our nasturtiums. Nice, very bright colored blossoms. I find they creep a lot if you don't keep an eye on them, but Anna has to disagree with me in that. So moving on from our nasturtiums, we got a couple of blooms popping in and out here, looking very nice and colorful. We're jumping onto one of our tomato plants. As you see, we have at least 5 different species of tomato plants in here. We don't know which one's which, but as soon as they're grown, we'll figure it out and we'll have a taste test. And this next part is yet another sunflower that we actually did not plant. So this has been our surprise in the garden this year with all our sunflowers spreading everywhere. And this particular sunflower is also known as the red velvet sunflower. Kind of makes you think of the sunset, isn't it very pretty? And moving around the box, we're coming to the rest of our tomatoes. They're starting to, you can't really see it that well, but they're starting to mature, and we're going to start getting some tomatoes popping out. And yes, we got a little mix of bright colored marigolds hanging out in here too, bringing a little pop of color to our little garden bed. And yes, can you guess? More dill. Lots of dill. And down here we got our basil plant, a pepper plant, and that little white trellis is going to be our cucumber plant. Not sure if I've seen any cucumbers climbing up, but they're very temperamental, but we're still hoping they're going to crawl up and we'll have a nice uh, cucumber we're hoping to try. And this is just another spot in the sunflower, and yes, a lot more dill. So we're going to move on to our next section. Our back section, the black container you see there is where we leave our tools. Very durable, and we got it at a good price. In this section we have thistle, which is yet another annoying weed we must deal with each year, and our lovely zucchini plant. We are looking forward to eating this when it begins to blossom and it's ready to harvest. And coming up on our fence, we have our purple climbing beans. We've already had one successful harvest with this little plant, and the beans were quite tasty as a snack or just in a general dish. And just below it is our scarlet runner beans, which is another climbing plant. And over in this section is our failed corn section. We tried very hard to keep this plant alive, but unfortunately that was not in the cards for us this year. We suspect the seeds were a bust, which can happen on occasion. And over here is our volunteer sunflower. We suspect it will be a velvet queen blossom, which looks very nice once it pops up. And just below the sunflower are two other tomato species. Yes, we will be doing a tomato tasting once they are all mature and ready to be harvested. We're looking forward to that video. Over here is our wildflower patch and our potato sack. They are looking very healthy at the moment, and there's also two heads of romaine lettuce hanging out in here too. We've already harvested both of them, and they actually taste very good with anything salad to sandwiches, and they're also good for giving out to family and friends. And over just next to our potato plant is our 2-year-old raspberry bush. It has grown a lot since May, and we are eagerly awaiting for it to develop some fruits. I am looking forward to having my own raspberries as soon as they're ready. Stay tuned.
This is our garlic section over here. So we actually harvested half of the garlic that we had planted, and it's a really, really good harvest this year, and there's a lot more to harvest still. And in this section, we've got Sweet William. It's on its way out, so it's not looking so great, but I'm keeping it here for a reason. I'd like to save seeds so that I can plant more Sweet William next year. This section is a bit of a mishmash of things. There's a lot of volunteer plants. There's volunteer dill, there's volunteer sunflower. There's actually a few different volunteer sunflowers here. I may need to pull some of them out just to create a little bit more space so I can grow other plants, like this little tiny tomato that has been planted here. So there's a little bit of work to be done in this particular area of the garden. And this is our potato section. We've got a few regular potatoes, some sweet potatoes, and a few bush beans planted together. These should be ready around late August or September. The next area over is another garlic area. I will be succession planting some peppers and tomatoes here once the garlic comes out. And here we've got a petty pan squash mixed with some turnips and a couple of lonely, sad looking corn plants. I do hope to get some corn harvest, but it doesn't seem very likely. I've got some okra growing in this little corner here. It's my first time growing that plant, so we'll see how it does. In this last in-ground bed, we companion planted some bush beans, some lettuce, some cabbage plants. They tend to grow really well with bush beans, as well as some pole beans. And then over here, towards the exit from the garden, we've got another raised bed set up. In our previous video, we did a walkthrough of how to set up a square foot garden bed. So go on ahead and check out that video for more information.